everyone, Jen DuBell here for Jen DuBell Designs and Country Craft Creations. Welcome to my channel. Today I am excited to show a project using the new What's Brewing collection from Country Craft Creations exclusively. I have the 8x8 collection, and there are 2 of each of the papers in this collection. Super pretty, vibrant colors, coffee themed. And if you are like me and most of us, most people have a coffee lover in their family or someone that you want to gift some coffee cards to or something like that. This little folio that I made is perfect for that. And I'm going to show you actually how to make both of these folios. So be sure at the end of the first one that you wait for the pause, and then the next one will start for the other folio. So the other one will be using the Simple Stories Wildflower collection, which is gorgeous as well. All these pretty pale colors and just very, very, very pretty. So I'm going to start with the coffee one because that's the one I'm going to do the tutorial for first. And this is a super simple folio to make. Another reason why I'm doing 2 in 1 is because these are both fairly simple, and you can get a twofer. So this is going to measure 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and it has a 1/2 inch spine up here. Okay, and it's all decorated. Now I did use on mine, in addition to the What's Brewing papers, my bases I've used an 85-pound cream heavy cardstock. I like to use a heavier cardstock when making folios. If I don't have any lightweight chipboard that's colored on hand, the other alternative is to wrap chipboard if you want to use chipboard for them. So when you open this up, super fun, we have this little window system. Now I've made one of these in the past, and I've done it in several different ways, and I want to tell you the options. If you did not want to do these little pockets that are actually holding these little things, you slide in the pockets is what is holding this all together. If you didn't want to do that, you can also put ribbon underneath here when you glue it down and then tie it and make a tie closure. You could do a band closure or a sliding piece of chipboard out of one of the die cuts could be done where it just turns. There's many ways you can do that. So I just have put a couple little cut apart type things using scraps. I didn't decorate those yet, into this top portion. And I mindfully cut this sheet of paper because I love this image of the coffee cup and the little cocoa beans. It's just adorable. And so I cut it in a way that I could then cut it again to make it fit on the pockets as well as the panels. So what I did is I cut 2 1/4 by 5 1/8, and then I cut that last 2 1/8 off for the pockets. Okay, and then when you open it up, I've just added a little pocket here, another little place that you can put. I popped up one of those fun little cut aparts from the paper on a piece of the brown, and also have that heavy stock in there to hold it together really nicely. So there's that. I'm just going to stick these back in here. And then on the bottom, of course, there's this fun little envelope, or excuse me, a fun little pocket. And I've added another little element here. This is, I actually used the Artisan brown cardstock. So if you want to do this like this and you have that in your stash, great. If not, because it's no longer available at Country Craft Creations, there are other browns in the My Colors that you can get that are very comparable. So this is going to be 3 1/4 by 5, and what I did is I took the Dress My Craft punch and just notched this out in the corner here. And the reason for that is if I have a gift card I want to give, I could literally stick it right here in this little pocket, and it's ready to go. Nice little way to tuck a little gift card in there. And then I just popped this fun little scrap I had of the Coffee Makes Everything Better. And on the bottom, one of the little die cuts, if you love me, bring me coffee. That is definitely me. I am a coffee lover. On the cover, I used some of the borders in addition to the papers, and I did mat this with that brown cardstock. And this is a die that I have in my stash. This is a Sizzix Tim Holtz Bigs die. The older, the steel ones. If you don't have this die, you can cut a coffee cup from other dies. You can cut a coffee cup from your Cricut machine. There's probably plenty of SVG files out there for a coffee cup. I cut mine out of chipboard and then the paper, and I ran this little strip I had left over of the coffee bean paper through a paper crimper. And also, that being said, you can also cut this coffee cup image out of the paper, but you do get 2 sheets of this. So you could cut this coffee cup out, fussy cut it, and use it as your cover piece. Just pop it up on some chipboard. So those are some options, and I am going to go through the other one with you, and then we're going to get into the tutorial for this one. So this fun little card here, this, I have made one of these in the past as well. I did upscale it a little bit this time by adding some fun dyed seam binding. I dyed this myself using different sprays, mostly Distress ink sprays. I think I used the new Mariner blue as well as some speckled egg in there just to lighten it up a little, and some white, and then just crinkled it up and dried it. I have some flowers from my stash. The front of this has a doily that was cut using a We Are Memory Keepers 8 punch. If you're familiar with those, they kind of go around in a circle until you get a circle. You cut every corner of your paper. If you don't have that, again, Cricut is great for this kind of stuff. You can even buy doilies in the stores. And then this is a Sizzix Eileen Hull die here that is a mandala that I slipped on in the background for a little bit of that yellow. This is a frame die from my stash that looks like wood grain. I popped that up on one of the, I cut that out of the salmon Cartabella printed cardstock. And then I popped that over one of the 3x4 elements from the paper collection and used the Glacier Blue as a mat. Now, when you open this, again, I've used some dies from my stash, some scallop circles, and I cut these out. This is the Glacier Blue Cartabella paper, and then a piece of the, this is one of the 4x4 elements that I cut this one from. On this page here, this is a super fun folio too, because it looks really, really small, and it is actually very, it is 6x6, but it's compact enough you could make a box envelope and mail this still. And tuck a lot of fun stuff in here. So what we have here, I've just taken some of the stickers and the cut aparts and done some different things with them. This opens both this way as well as this way. And then on the other side, it does the same thing. We open this way and we open this way. And I've just tucked some of the fun stuff in there that you can do with all the little elements that come in this collection. Little flip up with some numbers there that just is held into place with that little corner pocket there. I have a little card I made with one of the 3x4 elements. Another 3x4 element here. These are the 2x2s that I used. They're from the 4x4 sheet, but if you cut them apart, you get these little 2x2s. And again, I've done that here. All these fun little sentiments. And on the back here, we have this fun little card using one of the 4x4s, some of the stickers, as well as that Glacier Blue here, and the Jonquil My Colors. And that is that fun little folio. So I have a tutorial now for both of these for you. I will do the tutorial with the coffee paper, what's brewing first. And we'll dive into that right now, and then there'll be a short pause with the video, and it'll go to this tutorial for you. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard, firstly, and show you what we're going to have here. So first off, you're going to have a piece of paper that measures 5 1/4, 11 inches by 5 1/4. Grab a bone folder here and show you how we're going to do this. So first we're going to have this piece. We want to score this at 7 1/4 and 7 3/4. Okay. Then go all the way down to the end at that 1/2 inch mark, which is the 10 1/2 inches, to kind of a light score. You don't need a whole lot there. Okay. And I don't mind these marks if you can see them. I am reusing this. I scored it wrong the first time when I was doing a run through, and little trick, if you are able to, I will usually just burnish out my score lines if I make a mistake. Works perfectly fine. So now I want to bend this over just so I can see where I'm at. And that 1/2 inch that we did is where we're going to put this other piece of paper. So for some reason, my paper is very shredded at the end. I think I need a new trimmer. So 7.5 by 5 1/4 will be your second piece. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that here because it'll be under the pocket. Grab some glue, or you can use score tape. And my reason behind that lighter 1/2 inch score mark is just so that I can see right where I want my paper to connect, right where I want to put my glue. And if you were using score tape, you would just put it right up against that line. Not over it, but up against it. So then I'm just going to stick that 1/2 inch mark on the 6, and I'm going to bring this paper in, and I am going to burnish that down. And like I said, my paper is a little shredded here. So now that you have that, go ahead where we scored at that first score line up here. We want to go all the way down and make sure that this is also 7 1/4, which is going to leave you 3 inches for your pocket that goes up here. And to make sure that that lines up nicely. And then just add a touch of glue here and here, both sides, to put it down. I'm not going to do that because I will use this for another project, but you will do that after you add paper. Now, if you wanted to just add paper to this top section, you can do that as well. And you can make your pocket bigger than 3 inches if you like. This is a 7.5 by 5 1/4 piece of paper. So if you wanted your pocket longer, you just would allow for that by changing the measurement on your paper. And I am just going to get this all nice and straight. Like I said, this paper is rather expensive, so I don't like to waste it. And I had scored that incorrectly at the first time. So that is that portion. Now you're going to take a piece. We're going to make the little window unit that is right here. The little door unit, I should say. And again, this is 9.5 by 5 3/4. You want to take your scoring tool, score at 2 3/8, and then we're going to score at 7 1/8, and that's going to give you 2 doors that are 2 3/8 inches wide. And go ahead and fold those. And when you fold these in, fold your paper both ways, whatever paper you're using, and just make sure that your doors are able to close before you burnish. You don't want them to rub together. Okay, and that will be that fun little door unit. And that's going to go right inside of here. Now, this is where you would decide, excuse me, if you want to do the pockets, which I will show you. If you don't want to do the pockets, you can leave this as is and just grab some twine and glue it underneath after you glue your paper down, your decorative paper, and then we glue this down right around the middle of the page. I just kind of center it. Then you can put a tie here if you choose, or whatever closure you're using, and you can eliminate these pockets if that's what you choose to do. I will show you, though, how to make the pockets. You're going to grab 2 more pieces of cardstock, 2 3/4 by 2 7/8. I'm going to put it at that 2 7/8, score it 1/2, turn, so it's at the 2 3/4, and again, score it 1/2. Do the same thing on this one. 1/2 and 1/2. Okay? You're just going to grab some scissors, and we're going to miter these corners like so. And go ahead and fold all that in and make sure everything is nice and lined up, and then burnish all of your score lines. Then you're going to bring your other piece in. And what I like to do while I'm trying to glue this is I grab a clip and just clip the top of it closed so it doesn't fling around on me, just like so. Okay, so Your long side goes on the bottom portion. Oh, wait, did I do that wrong? I think I did something wrong here. These are not correct. One moment. I only got 2 3/8. Ah, I'm doing it backwards. That's why. So I folded my paper wrong. You want to make sure that you have that 2 3/8. So you're going to have the longer side left over, which is your 2 3/8. Score line on this side, ½ inch gusset on this side, ½ inch across the bottom. And then you, after your paper is on, you would then glue this down here, as you see, and burnish. And I am going to clip this so that you can get the idea better when I hold it up. I like to make these nice and straight, but you also want to make sure that if you have to go over at all, do it on this side. Do not let it overlap your actual door, or they'll rub together. And here is our other. And we want to line it up. And I'm going to clip that one, and then I can show you a little better. So that's what you will end up with. And again, once your paper is down, this will go right here in the middle. And then you just make any kind of card. You could even put a gift card directly in this pocket and it will hold. It may fall out when you turn it upside down if you don't put something in there to stabilize it, because these do have ½ inch gussets. So that is that folio. And I hope that you make one of these. You can do this with any paper collection. I just thought the coffee one was so cute. One, not only is this able to be given as a gift, it could be given to a man or a woman, because it's masculine, but it's feminine at the same time. I didn't add any fanciness to it, such as, you know, flowers or anything like that. So giving this to a guy friend for a birthday, you could stuff other things in the pockets, such as packets of tea. If they drink tea and not coffee, you can put tea in here. You can put gift cards, money, concert tickets, anything you like in here. Totally, lots of different places to put stuff. You can share a picture or a memory. It's just super fun. I like making these folios. So that's what I have for you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and wait for that pause, and I will be doing the tutorial on this one as well. Oh, and just so you know, this paper for this tutorial, in case I don't mention it when I do the tutorial, because I've already recorded it, is the gray Artisan, the winter gray. So just want to make sure you knew that. That's what we're going to be making the base out of. Okay? See you in a few. And what I'm using today is this gorgeous Simple Stories Wildflower paper from Country Craft Creations. And I'm also going to use some of the new Cardabella printed cardstock solids that are now available. And I'm going to use some of the salmon and some of the glacier. And I may actually add a touch of this gorgeous jonquil, I think is how you pronounce that, my colors. It has this fun little dots, and there's some yellow in this paper that this goes really well with. So let's get to the actual construction. Super, super simple. So what you need, I am using the winter gray Artisan for this, and you just need one 12-inch sheet of this, your solid, because you can use anything else that you want as far as your mats and such. So I have 2 that I've cut, leaving them at 12 at 6, okay? And I'm going to pull my scoreboard out for a moment and show you how I do this. Now, some people like to put their paper on their scoreboard, score where they're going to score, and then put them together. I prefer to do it this way, just in case my measurements are off at all, I don't have an issue. But I do like to use 1/2-inch score tape. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run. You can also use glue for this, or both. I'm going to get this as close to my edge as I possibly can. And this is, like I said, this is 1/2-inch score tape. I like to keep my measurements in the halves and the quarters if possible. You can use whatever you like. And then I'm just going to peel that backing off of that score tape. And I'm going to grab my other 12 by 6. And I'm just going to line this up using, I'm going to put my straight edge, the straight side of my Tim Holtz ruler. You can use your scoreboard for this as well, but I'm just going to use a ruler to show you that you can. And I'm just going to go to a 1/2 inch mark on that ruler. I'm trying to make sure I'm in the camera for you here. So I'm at a 1/2 inch mark, and I'm just going to put my paper down and make sure that I am lining up with the top and the bottom edge, and use that score tape edge as a guide all the way down. And you should get a nice clean with no overhang if you do this correctly. So now I have this really long 23.5 inch piece of paper. And this, like I said, this is how I do mine. Some people prefer to score and then connect. I always connect mine, but I do have a method to my madness. So I'm going to put this in here, and I am going to first score long ways. It's going to hang off your scoreboard. You're going to score at 4. And I'm using my new handy dandy Dress My Craft pencil bone folder that I just recently got on a shopping trip. If you watched my haul video, we're going to score again at 8. Get a good score. And then you just want to figure out which way your paper wants to go so that you don't do any cracking. Normally that does not happen with Artisan, which is why I've remade this video a couple of times, because I tried using some paper from my stash. I didn't have the darker gray, which was preferable. The darker gray Artisan, this goes really well with this paper, but I believe the darker gray was a better contrast, but I didn't have any in my stash. So I went with this winter gray, which is a beautiful color. But I was trying to use some cheaper cardstock, and it kept cracking, and it just wasn't working for me using paper from my stash. So my go-to is always Artisan. If there's not a color of Artisan available, I will go to the My Colors. So I'm going to score again now that I folded my paper at that 8 inch score and put it back up to the 0 on my scoreboard, and I'm going to score at 6. And then I want another 4 inch, so I'm going to score at 10. Okay. And then you're going to do the same thing. We want to fold that 10 inch line, and we want to pull that up and bring it up to our 0 again on the scoreboard and score at 4. Now, you will have a little bit left, and that is okay. A lot of times I will just flip this piece backwards and make that a side pocket, which is probably what I will do this time. Last time I did not do that on my original, but I do like that idea. So what you want to do now is you want to line up your paper. Just make sure everything is nice and straight, and then burnish out your score lines on going both ways. We just want to make sure all these score lines get burnished nicely. And as you can see, this first one, we're going to score backwards. So this pulls out, so we want to do that. And then we're going to score this one backwards, okay? Be gentle, it's still paper. If you're using Artisan, you should not have any issues as far as cracking goes, because the Artisan paper just doesn't really do that. So then for this one also opens. We're going to go this way with this one. And then we're going to fold the second line in. Make sure, like, again, everything is nicely lined up. And this is, like I said, mailable. You could make a box, if you're doing a lot of embellishing like I did on the first one, you can make a box envelope for this, or you could simply not put heavier embellishing on the front like I did my original, and then it will fit in a normal envelope. Well, you still would have to make a 6x6 envelope, but so this is how this works. Now on this one, as you can see, my original here, I'll open this up, And this is this side. So on this side, on the back side here, I had an angled pocket. So what we're going to do, because we have this left over, it is about a little over 1.5 inches. We're just going to fold that back, and we're going to turn this one into a side pocket. So go ahead and fold that back and line that all up and burnish that out. Okay, and we'll add a couple little gussets there, or we can just glue it and make it a tuck spot. Okay, so that is how to make that fun little folio. Now, you can use any collection, any color that you want for your solid. Done, you will have this fun 6-inch by 6-inch piece when it's all folded up. And okay, so now I have all of my pieces ready that are going to go on for my decorating. I've chosen some different papers that I'm going to put on here. But first I want to show you the hardest part, which is making the cover portion like the original. So I've cut a couple of doilies from, this one was a punch that I had, and this is an Eileen Hull die. And I'm just going to layer those, and I'm going to put them on the cover here and show you how this will look. So I've also cut a wood frame die that I had in my stash, and I placed that on some of that gorgeous Glacier Cartabella printed cardstock. And then the frame is the salmon. And this will go on just like so. And we're going to have the ribbon underneath of this, as you can see. And then I have this fun little bow that will just go on the side, so it looks as though it's tied twice. And that is how you make this fun little folio. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. So have a wonderful day. Happy paper crafting.